Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome back to the second episode of Fallout Windy Wasteland here on the Bear Pen Twitch. You can also obviously catch it on YouTube for anyone that doesn't make it for our live shows, but the show is recorded live on Twitch, so if you want to join us for all of that fun stuff and hang out in the chats, be sure to join us at 5 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over on twitch.tv/the bear pen, and you can join in all of the fun antics with our chat. And the cast also jumps in there a whole bunch as well, so definitely feel free to come and hang out. So, as I said, this is the second episode of this series. If you haven't caught the first episode, I will give a quick recap before we fully dive in. But before that, let's go ahead and take a moment to meet all of the players for this evening's session. And we will go ahead and start off with you, Danny. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let people know where they can find you online, and tell us a little bit about the character that you're going to be playing here this evening.
Hi, I'm Danny. You can find me at mxmoth on Twitter and Instagram. I also moderate for Loop Often, so if you like games, come over there. Um, I'm playing Aiden Ellis. She's a big hitter and a big person overall, but not a big talker. So
We'll see how. In fairness, it seems like the way things are going this evening, there might be some use for a big hitter coming up here. So hopefully that'll actually work out to Aiden's advantage tonight. We'll see how that goes. And Ari, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, let folks know where they can find you online, and tell them a little bit about the character you're going to be playing in the Wasteland this evening.
Hi everyone, I'm Ari. You've probably seen me here on the Bear Pen. I play Elijah Smith over on our Blood on the Bayou campaign, and I play Asta the Tiefling over on Thala Unbound. Other places you can find me on the TTRPG Cookout. I play Yvain in their Rivenwood and Shay in Reclamation. You can find me on Twitter at Small Shadow Snack, which yes, Ursa, I am the number one possum mama. Yes. Oh, exactly. That's my Twitter handle now. Um, but here I'm playing Katya Ivanova, the mama hen, who just wants to go home to her kiddo.
Awesome. Well, hopefully the vault dwellers that we have here in both Aiden and Katya are able to see their mission through in the near future and get back home to the vault where they feel a little bit more secure and at home. And speaking of the Wasteland, we have two Wastelanders that are going to be among the crew here this evening. And we'll start off with Mac. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, let folks know what all you're involved in, and tell them a little bit about the character you're going to be playing here tonight in the Wasteland.
Hey guys, I'm Mac. I don't really have a fairly big thing yet on the internet, so you can find me in the Bear Pen right here on the Fallout RP. I play Doc, a mercenary slash reformed raider, just trying to do his best to go out the wasteland and to make sure that everybody's all right. So.
Yeah, Doc has been an interesting character that I think as we start diving a little more and more into the backstory you've cooked up for him, that he'll just grow more and more interesting over time. But we'll see what all kind of comes up here this evening. And last but not least, certainly, Adrian, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, let the folks know where they can find you online and the other projects you're in, and absolutely tell them about the character that you'll be playing here with us.
Alrighty, hey everybody, I'm Adrian or Aries, and you can find me here often on the Bear Pen, where in this game I am playing Jack Wilson, who is the sheriff of Mound View. Yes, Mound View is the name of the place we are. And you can also find me as the storyteller on both Thala Unbound, which is on Fridays at 7 p.m. PT here on Bear Pen, and Blood on the Bayou, which is at 2 p.m. on Sundays, also here. And I play JC Diaz over on twitch.tv/Kira858 in the Lords of Faerun campaign, which is DM'd by the amazing Elisa Pearl. And yeah, you'll see myself in another project over there and other projects over here. So if you'd like to follow me, you can find my links there in the chat there. It's at the Adrian Bear on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And yeah, you've got a lot of fingers in a lot of pies right now, my friend. So many, many projects for people to check you out on, and that is very super exciting. As for myself, I am Alex Hillman. I will be the overseer for the game this evening, and you can find me online at Twitter at Alex Hillman. I'm on various streams such as Blood on the Bayou here on the Bear Pen. I obviously run this show over here. I'm one of the partners at the channel, and I'm also a brand manager and developer over at Hunters Entertainment, where we make all sorts of RPGs and other fun games that you can play yourself, and that we one that I work on that will probably be featuring on this channel later in the year. That'll be my little teaser here for a future project that I've been planning on doing. But you'll have to wait until later into 2022 to find out what that's all about. Now, as for this evening, you might notice already on the screen, and as I update it here and let our players' screens finally initialize there, we have a little bit more data available for all of you watching the show now. So you'll notice that the Pip-Boy has sprung a clock, as it tends to have in most of the video games, to help all of you keep track of the in-game date and time. That will also come into play with a few of the status effects that could befall our various characters here. So we will be playing with the assorted survival rules that the game has available. Additionally, we've also got action points for both the players and myself as the storyteller tracked on screen here. And the player's luck pool is available for you to keep track of, as well as kind of gives you a sense of how much potential danger and stuff that they might be in. As that starts getting depleted, there's less cool things that they can do that the game has available. Outside of that, you'll also be able to keep track of things like their fatigue and their rads and what the current status of their character is, whether they're healthy, addicted to things, injured, what have you. So feel free to enjoy having access to that little bit of extra information that will obviously tie into the gameplay and hopefully keep our audience a little more in the know as to what all we have going on. Now, as for the quick little recap that we'll give you here, in last week's session, the Vault Dwellers amongst the group, both Aiden and Katya, were presented with a task by the Overseer of Vault 53, Overseer Montez. Essentially, the Vault has, over the years at this point, which is 170 years since the Great War has actually happened, they've had their run of dealing with various equipment faults and breakdowns, but they've finally hit a situation that is going to require more than what they have just available to them in the vault. And so the decision was made to send 2 dwellers from the vault, specifically from the security team, to head out into the wasteland and see if they could find a thermal control chip. The thermal control chip was designed to keep the reactor core of the vault from having any kind of catastrophic meltdown over the course of its lifespan. It helped to automate a lot of the vault's power situation. And with it beginning to fail, there is every potential chance that the dwellers of Vault 53 will have to abandon the vault, not knowing entirely what lies ahead of them in the world. And so Aiden and Katya gathered up some things and left from the vault and have set out into the wide world outside of a small town from the pre-war known as Platteville, Wisconsin. Vault 53 had been set up underneath what is known as the Platt Mound, a large hill out in the outskirts around the city. And once they emerged, they realized that the world, unfortunately, seemed to be in a terrible state still. It became immediately clear to them why Vault 53 had never received the all-clear signal from Vault Tech, which had been initially expected to happen maybe 50 or so years after the Great War, and led to the residents deciding that they were going to try to stick it out in the vault without that potential security of knowing what would be in store for them out in the wide world. Additionally, they suffered a little bit of shock from just finally experiencing a world that doesn't have ceilings and walls and confinement to it. They are now finding themselves in a wide open world that they've only ever read about in books and learned about in their history classes in the vault. They made their way down to a small settlement by the name of Mound View, and they arrived late in the evening. It was a choice that the overseer had made for them to leave the vault late so that they would hopefully be able to get a better read of the surroundings and see if there was any signs of civilization or light on the horizon. And upon entering the town, they quickly drew the attention of the local sheriff, Jack, and one of the newly arrived residents of the city who is a mercenary of sorts of the Wasteland, trying to go around and do some good, Doc. And upon having a quick conversation, it was decided that based on what the vault dwellers were looking for, Jack saw an opportunity. He decided that it would be best to go ahead and temporarily deputize the two and see if he could deal with a little bit of a problem that Mound View has been having with a gang of raiders known as the Droplets, led by a man by the name of Nukatami. Nukatami has settled into Mound View looking to set up a casino in the area, which in and of itself wouldn't necessarily be a problem. It's unfortunate that he's decided to go about it in a haphazard and non-cooperative manner. He's been causing all sorts of problems for the citizens and just making everyone generally uncomfortable with him and his gang. And it's now escalated to the point where they've actually gone ahead and stolen the safe from the sheriff's office, which contained the town's funds that are collected through agreed upon taxes in the town to help fund the security that they have with having a sheriff taking care of law and order for them. It was decided that the best course of action would be to let everyone get at least a good night's sleep before they would have to worry about dealing with this whole situation and figuring things out. And that is where we now find ourselves. It is 8:30 a.m. on the 16th of May in 2250 in the town of Mound View outside of the ruins of pre-war Platteville, Wisconsin. Now, as I recall, Jack, did you say that you were going to allow them to bunk up in your house, or had you decided to go ahead and send them over to the hostel to sleep for the evening?
Well, as I'm trying to make sure that they're not, gonna get robbed and die or something, I thought maybe it'll probably make sense that they stay here tonight. Yeah.
All right. Now, one thing I'd like you to go ahead and do for me here, Jack, and let me see what combination I'd like you to particularly use. This might be a kind of custom roll, or it might be a basic skill check. And Doc, were you going to be staying at the sheriff's as well, or were you comfortable at the hostel being a Wastelander?
Yeah, I'll be all right with the hostel. I mean, I think I already paid for the night there, so I might as well stay there.
Okay. Okay. So you won't be able to make this check since you won't be around interacting with the vault dwellers. But go ahead, and this will be a custom one, so use the little 20-sider up at the top of your character sheet. And we're going to use perception as the attribute. And let's use survival, actually, as the skill check.
Tech skill, nope.
All right, got one success.
Yeah, one success.
All right, so with that, you guys are actually going to go ahead here and gain another action point, which I will add into the player pool right now. So you now have 5 available to you. And what you've noticed is over the course of the evening, as you're helping get the vault dwellers settled in for the night, they obviously eventually get into a state of being comfortable enough to actually sleep, and so they get their armor and helmets off and things like that. And this is the first time that you finally piece together where exactly they're from. Now, you've been in the area of Mound View for a while at this point, and so you're not unfamiliar with the surrounding territory by any stretch of the imagination. And it would be silly to think that the citizens of Mound View hadn't already at this point figured out that there was a vault, in fact, underneath Platt Mound. There was an entrance over there that led into a tunnel that just leads right up to the large vault door. However, no one had had a Pip-Boy amongst the citizens of Mound View, and so no one had a way to interface with the control panel to try to open the door. It was essentially assumed that at this point, with it being 170 years, it's been known that some of the vaults actually did open up, and that others seem to have met grisly fates, unfortunately, over the course of their isolation. And you all just figured at this point that clearly 170 some odd years later, this vault must have had something go catastrophically wrong, and there's clearly no one in there anymore. And until someone finally comes along with the right equipment to get that door open and finally tap it for the potential plethora of pre-war technology and loot that may still be intact in there, it was likely just a pointless endeavor until such tech came along. But you now know that the number on that vault door was a 53, and once they finally take off the armor that was covering up the upper torso area and back of them, that there is a large 53 actually emblazoned on the back of their jumpsuits. It would appear either one, someone has finally cracked into Vault 53 and just stolen some jumpsuits, or those vault dwellers aren't as dead as everybody thought.
So, you know, you can all make yourselves comfortable here and everything, but, I mean, are you like technically locals? It's kind of like that Vault 53 is right here. Or did you just kind of stumble in there and loot the place?
I guess you could say we're locals.
Wow. So you're all still alive there?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, what do you even do down there for fun? There's like, you're underground.
Katya, what do you do for fun?
mean, it's not like we don't have things to do for fun. We have games. Like, there's other people to talk to. Like,
And
it's
for
not like
my vault players, because I know that both of you kind of jumped into that role since it is the one that represents having the least amount of Fallout knowledge necessarily amongst the group, and kind of plays into that. Let me also let you know that the vault was set up essentially to be basically a city underground. There were diners. There was a recreation center that allowed for there to be, like, as you were going through school, there were sports teams and things like that. And you had essentially what would have been a pre-war life. You just had it underground in a hermetically sealed environment where everyone kind of wears the same clothing because everyone wears this just blue and yellow outfit with the number 53 on the back.
I mean, like, yeah, I imagine there's got to be something to do down there, but that doesn't, like, answer the question totally, I mean, like, I'm not from there. You're from, like, what is in a vault?
Everything, I guess. It's sort of the same question as me asking you what you do. I mean, when you really got to break it down into a list, it start analyzing everything you do all day. How much detail do you want?
Well, I guess some would be nice, but
No.
I'm not meaning to pry. I'm more just like curious, because it's, I mean, a vault.
you have a lot of this. Well, not a lot of the same stuff you do here, but it's like a city. It's just underground. Like we have schools and uh you know other things. Like it's kind of hard to explain because we don't know what you all have up here. I mean, this is the first place we found.
I guess that's fair. Okay. Well, I'll show you a bit around tomorrow, and then we can compare notes.
That sounds fair.
Well, I got a bunk there. If you two want to split it, I'm gonna probably just sleep on my desk here.
On the desk?
No, I mean there's like a chair. I can just put my feet up.
I didn't know how you do things here.
And I thought he was just gonna sleep on the floor.
On the desk, under the desk, against
I mean,
the desk. I mean, there's so
I
many
have
options.
a dog. I'm not one. It's no. I'll just post up with my feet on the chair. Close enough to the door and make sure everyone's safe for the night.
Okay.
Mutt has already gone ahead and posted up in a nice little spot underneath the desk, actually.
And we'll see what we can rouse up for breakfast tomorrow.
And everybody goes ahead and gets to sleep the previous evening. Which brings us back to where I had mentioned we would be starting at here, as it reaches 8:30 a.m. On the 16th of May. And everybody kind of starts getting up and stirring. Now, at this point, you all went to bed about, we'll say, 7 hours ago. I think I said it was about 1 a.m. when they got into town, so we'll assume about 30 minutes of chit-chat, getting everybody settled in, and finally getting off to bed there. So, with that in mind, let me just pull up some details here real quick. All right, so you will each wake up at that point nice and thirsty and a little bit hungry. So let me go ahead and, for the folks at home, update each of your status effects real quick. And while I'm doing that, what is everybody going about doing in the morning here?
I reckon first thing that I would do in the morning is just kind of like, make sure Mutt's got something to eat, and then probably after he's done that, like get his gear on and sort of get my gear on. Now, we are supposed to be in maybe like recon mode, so I'm not sure what my Vault Dwellers are doing, but do I have anything I can feed these people?
You more than likely have a little fridge in the house with at least a bit of food. Now, obviously, eating from your own home supply would clearly deplete a little bit of your own home supply. You would also have the option, because at about 8 a.m., the hostel starts working on opening up the kitchen that they have there. Um, Essentially, they do also kind of act as like the closest thing that you could really call to a restaurant, per se, in the town.
Okay, that's where you're staying, right, Doc?
Yes.
All right. Okay, then that's probably where I'll take everybody if they have anything to do in the morning. Get as clean as possible, I guess, and then head on out.
All right.
I do have a backpack, so I'm just gonna make sure that I have my leathers in there just in case.
All right. So, prepping a little bit of gear on your end. I assume for the vault dwellers amongst the group that each of you is going to probably just gather up your armor and all of your belongings, because you really don't have a ton of stuff yet now out in the wasteland.
Yeah.
All right. And Doc, are you immediately heading downstairs at the hostel to get some food and something to drink, or are you hanging out in your room? Like, what's Doc's plan immediately in the morning?
So like I mentioned before, Doc's pretty meticulous when it comes to things. So he always starts the day with like making sure his equipment's good to go, and it's kind of like a strange ritual of his to clean his hunting rifle, since that's the only thing he can fully trust in the wasteland. So Doc is making sure the rifle is like spick and span, very clean, just kind of wiping it with an oily rag.
Okay, so it probably takes him a little bit of time to actually get downstairs and finally come across the rest of the crew here. All right, so with that in mind, you guys make your way over to the hostel. Small walk from where the sheriff has set up his shack. And when you get in there, Platteville is, Mound View is not necessarily a super well off town at the moment. So they are fairly limited on the various options that they have available. What you can get, let me do a quick parse here. Yeah, we'll go with that. So you do have the option to get baked bloatfly, is what they have available. Obviously, for our wastelanders among the group, this is standard fare for you at this point. I mean, I would say it's probably more common for you to eat actual creatures of the wasteland that have been hunted and prepared than it would be to eat remnants from the pre-war. Finding the various pre-packaged stuff, unless you've gone out investigating ruins, or occasionally when a trader rolls through, they might have a decent supply of some things that have, thanks to the heavy use of preservatives in a lot of the pre-war products from back in the day. There are a number of things that have survived and still are generally edible, so it's not as if you haven't come across that, but I would say your diet's probably at least 80% wasteland fare. Now, for Aiden and Katya, this is new to you. For one, you've never heard of a bloatfly before. They're saying that it's food, but you can take that how you want and approach the situation as you see fit. But Jack, you would be very well aware that the hostel doesn't really have a wide range of options available for breakfast. It's always just baked bloatfly because it's very easy to harvest up. Usually for like dinner or something like that, they will actually go ahead and make maybe like a Brahmin steak or something like that. Occasionally, if you haven't had a slaughter recently, because there are Brahmin who are raised here in Mound View by some of the farms. But if that's not available, a lot of times like dinner will be like something like crispy squirrel bits or things like that. So there are some different options a little bit later in the day, but it usually does always start off with bloatfly. So you know full well coming in here that you just, order the house special, and that'll get you your bloatfly as well as a bottle of dirty water. And that is for a grand total of, let me just double check here. 3 and so it'd normally be about 18 caps. Now, for you, Jack, you actually already have a reputation in the town. You're the sheriff. You do have an active discount in effect with this merchant already. So you can actually pick it up for 10 caps yourself. Now, if you wanted, you could possibly try to flex your influence and see about trying to get the discount for the rest of your companions, or if you wanted.
Yeah, I grew up in the wasteland. I took barter for a reason. What was the person's name again? Last night at the tavern and the thingy are different places, or they're the same place?
So they are actually two different places.
Oh, okay.
And
so
the
who is the
hostel
person
actually
with the
does
hostel?
have a different person that works day and night, because since that does also have guests staying at it, they always have someone staffed. So it's a small group of
Okay.
people that actually work it. Right now, it's a young man by the name of Ray. He's in his 20s. He's the son of one of the local farming families in the town who decided that farming wasn't really necessarily his speed per se, and so he decided to go ahead and take up a job working at the hostel along
right.
with the rest of the current employees. But he's the one on staff right now. He's got short, messy, like dusty blonde hair, a very patchy and scraggly kind of beard. Stands maybe about 6 foot, maybe a little shy of that.
Well, I'm gonna walk in and I've got my duster on and I've got my Stetson on and everything. Mud's kind of trailing behind me. And for those who just joined us this episode, I basically am Owen Wilson from Shanghai Noon. That's what I look like. It's just I don't need to describe too much, but so I walk up and I give I shake Ray's hand. Morning, Ray. How's it going?
It's going all right, Sheriff. And you stopping in for something to eat, or are you just kind of doing the morning rounds?
Well, we got some newbies in town, so I was hoping to fix them up a plate of the morning special. If you got, make folks a little bit more welcome, if you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Since they're friends of yours, Well, actually, go ahead. I want to see if you can get me the barter check. We'll go ahead
Should
and
I
do the
use
barter check.
speech or barter? Either is fine, but
How are you trying to go about exactly persuading him to give the discount?
Well, I'm not trying to trade anything with him. It's more just like force my personality, and I was like talking to him, being friendly with him, hoping
Okay.
that we can, yeah. So I'm thinking speech, to
Yeah,
be
let's go with a
honest.
speech check.
All right. So do I just click speech?
Yep,
Or
because this is a standard speech check.
okay.
If you want, you are able to use action points on it. As a reminder, you guys do have 5 of those right now.
I'm gonna trust the dice.
All right.
2 successes.
All right, with 2 successes, you were only going to need 1 on that, so the other one will actually bank as an additional action point for you, which does actually put you guys at the cap now. So you can have 6 action points total banked at any given time, and I will get that updated on all the details for you. And you have 6 action points. Yeah, since they're friends of yours, I can give them the discount. It'll be fine. So that'll be 30 caps.
For the lot? All right, cool. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Why not? I'll put in for that.
so I hand him the 30 caps.
All right, perfect. All right, so with this being a cooked meal, once we get around to it, I will let you guys know that that would potentially move you up 2 tracks on the hunger. And the dirty water, the single dirty water is not going to be enough to get you fully back to fully sated and hydrated. You'll still be at tier 1 of the track, but that won't have any fatigue associated to it. So if you want, you could potentially order an additional water. But Ray goes ahead and heads back off into the kitchen area. It's for the most part generally visible. But the diner itself, because it was in a little strip mall, and the place that he's set up shop in here, this was an actual hotel. So the kitchen itself is actually kind of like back through a little window area with an actual like servers kind of station. So it does have a little bit of discretion to it. You can hear him like back there chopping away and prepping up what for the vault dwellers you would assume to be some kind of meat. You have no idea what the house special is that Jack just ordered for you. But since it is a hotel area, they've repurposed it quite a bit now that it's a Wasteland establishment. And so the dining area, it most of it is kind of in disarray, but they have kind of set up because it isn't a large town, so that you don't have a lot of customers all the time. So they've only really worried about setting up a small little area. However, you do actually have the option between a table or booth, because there are 2 booths within the restaurant area that are still functional. And you're early enough that at this point there's nobody else really in there.
Probably post up at a booth as long as it's somewhere where I can see the whole area of the bar, just in case. Well, the hostel, just in case I need to do anything.
Okay. Okay.
Aiden likes being able to see the doorway too, so whatever angle she needs to set at to get there.
Well, go ahead and dig in. I mean, it's usually the same thing every morning, but it's it's not bad once you get used to it.
Yeah, after a few minutes, Ray comes out with a couple of glasses and a few plates and sets it each down on the table for you. 1 second. Sorry about that. Caught a hitch in my throat there. He sets the plates down in front of you, and on it is this kind of slimy, very greasy meat. And then in the glass, you see this kind of slightly foggy water.
Doc absolutely and without question demolishes the meal and drinks the water because he hasn't had a good meal like this in a while. So,
When in Rome.
Yeah, Katya kind of just looks at Aiden and then just follows her lead. Like, okay.
Alex, audio has been lost for some reason.
That fix it.
I think it's back now.
We'll make sure.
Are we back now,
yeah.
chatters?
Let us know if we're back. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Fantastic. Sorry about that. I must have accidentally hit something while I was working on doing a couple of screen updates there, folks. But what I was saying is for the vault dwellers here, this meal is it's very unpleasant, to say the least. And for the Wastelanders, I'm not going to lie about it. Bloatfly is not fantastic by any stretch of the imagination, but the way you'd kind of probably look at it is, hey, it's food and protein, so I'm kind of all right with it. Now, the water, kind of same situation. In fact, I would actually go so far as to ask the vault dwellers, do you actually drink the water? Since at the moment you do actually have one use of purified water each in your canteens.
Yeah, I'll drink it.
Yeah, she'll drink it.
Okay. You go to tuck into it and it is a little gritty. You're pretty sure that more than likely it just came out of like a stream in the nearby area, and at best maybe it's been boiled. Probably hasn't been filtered all that well. So with those two things there, first and foremost, the baked bloatfly. Do any of you have rad resistance? I don't believe any of you do. But I could have lost track of that.
I mean, that's would be for how would we have that with armor and stuff? Yes, but I don't know if that counts because this is ingested.
No,
right?
it would need to be base rad resistance, which you can theoretically get.
Don't believe I have anything like that now.
Okay, okay. So each of you are going to take from the food 2.2 rads, and from the beverage, let me double check if that has any ill effect on you here. Possibly. All right, so I need to make a couple checks for each of you here. Let me just do that real fast on the Roll20.
On the actual character sheets here, where would we put that in?
So radiation, what it actually does, and this is why I'm going to track it on screen because there's a few things that actually do this. It lowers your maximum HP. I don't know if they have a good spot for that at the moment, so I might have to adjust that for you, actually. Give me 1 second, though. I want to roll 4 of these. Okay. So, the 2 vault dwellers are going to take a little bit of extra radiation, and so is Jack from the dirty water. Because it does have a little bit of particulates of radiated material that can get into the water sources and sometimes cause you some problems there. So,
Spicy.
yeah. Let me get everybody's rad counts up to date here. That will be... So, for both Aiden and Katya, you're both going to be at 4 rads total at this point. And Doc, you are actually just going to be at 2 rads. You kind of lucked out. Your glass of water happened to not have any radioactive material in it, and you did not have to deal with that side of it. As for Jack, you are at 3 rads. Basically, your water was slightly irradiated, but not nearly as much as the glasses that the 2 poor vault dwellers ended up getting there. So what that is going to do character-wise, let me take care of that for y'all, because it's through a little process that I haven't walked any of you through yet. Bam. All right, so that should take care of... Oop, too many. Jack, you should be set now. And you should see your max HP actually come down. Doc, you are coming down too. And then Katya, you're coming down 4. And Aiden, you are coming down 4 as well.
Does that make me technically below my max HP?
Yes, it pulls your current and your max both back down. Now you will be able to get radiation taken care of over the course of the game here. So that will eventually then allow you to get your max back up and then potentially heal back up that lost health. But presently, it doesn't mean you, like from a character sheet perspective, since your max is actually lowered, you're still at theoretically your current maximum value of HP.
I was just asking for a certain perk purposes.
Which perk is that?
Adrenaline rush.
Gotcha. Let me double check the wording on that one.
It just says when health is below max.
Okay, so no, it is currently still at your max
Okay.
at the moment.
All right. Gotcha.
Okay. So yes, you have all now picked up a little bit of radiation at this point from the substandard food that is available here at the hostel, unfortunately. That said, there is a doc in town who will be able to potentially deal with radiation if anyone's feeling a bit uncomfortable with their radiation levels at the moment. If you're fine with it, you can obviously just go ahead and truck along, but there is medicine you can absolutely get your hands on for this, or just general treatment if you want to have the doctor treat it. But that will take some time, of course. Additionally, as just a general reminder, you all are still a little bit parched. That doesn't impart any fatigue on you, but one more step down on the water track, and you will be suffering a little bit of fatigue. So, over the course of the meal, while everybody is tucking in, and the vault dwellers are kind of hesitantly going along and eating through this food that is certainly not like what anything Mom used to make back in the vault. What all are you discussing?
So, I have like a fork with some blood fly, gesturing with the fork while I'm talking. So like I said last night, I was thinking if our two fresh new faces want to maybe, I mean, you're welcome to as well, Doc, kind of like try to get into the casino and cozy up to old Nukatami and his goons. Maybe get a scope of the inside, and then myself and Mutt, and maybe Doc or whatever, we can go around the outside and just kind of like scope out what their defenses from the outside might be. Unless anybody else has a better plan.
Sounds like a fair plan to me.
Now, additional information for you here, Jack, because you've been dealing with this situation for a while. You know at this point that the droplets roughly have 10 members amongst them. For the most part, you know that they stay at the casino, but they do tend to periodically come out in pairs or groups and either dig around in the ruins of old Platteville or come into Mound View proper and harass the local populace. So you do know that there are about 10 people grand total in the group, and that their primary base of operations would be on the old MCU campus here in Platteville. That would be Midwestern Commonwealth University. They've taken over what, from the signs that people have seen from back when the townsfolk were still poking around in the ruins themselves, it was called a student center. You're not exactly sure what that even means, but that's the building that they went ahead and took over. And they've slowly but surely started retrofitting it into a combination of a casino and a kind of hotel type deal. Which, again, under different circumstances, wouldn't necessarily be bad for the town, having an actual proper hotel and a place for people to gamble away money and try to bring some money into the town, but just not the way it's been going currently.
Yeah. So what you thinking, Doc? You want to tag along with me and we kind of keep an eye on the side while Aiden and Katya sort of cozy up to the main entrance there? Because honestly, they're going to see those fancy blue and yellow outfits and just think, wow, we can take these people for a ride.
Feel kind of conflicted with using them as bait, but hey, you know these guys more than I do, so I'll go ahead and stick with your plan. And I'm pretty sure, and looking at looking at Aiden, I'm pretty sure she can handle herself, so I may be less worried.
Okay. Well, Overseer, would I know the best way to approach for this kind of plan?
So, I can definitely say there's some steps you would probably want to take to prepare.
Mm.
For one, you know that Nukatami and his crew are not going to be interested in people who don't have caps. So we're going to need to make sure that the vault dwellers have the appropriate funds to look like a good mark to be succouring to begin with. Other than that, you're mainly just you'd send them down into the ruins there, probably guiding them along the way, because there is a bit of a stretch of the actual ruins of pre-war Platteville between where Mound View itself actually is and where the actual university is. So that's another thing that makes it a little inconvenient about their choice of location, was that even if it was set up in the appropriate way, it's kind of detached from the town through a series of ruins. So you'd probably want to help guide them at least close to the area to make sure that they didn't run into any trouble along the way. And then once they get there itself, I mean, they're trying to get people in there to blow their caps, so it's really just get them in the front door and...
So, I mean, this is kind of like my private funds here or whatever, but you're going to need some caps to kind of like get in the door. So, you can take what I have. Like I said, I mean, people will get paid for once the job is done, but, you know, you don't have any real money. So, I will hand. I have got 69 caps that I put on the table for both of them. Spread it out how you would like to.
And,
Now remind me just one more time what exactly our objective is.
Well, I'm hoping you can go in there and sort of kind of maybe cozy up to him and get a layout of the building. You know, I just really I need to find out where Tommy is keeping that safe. That's kind of like got all the town's funds in that, you know. And if we find out like what kind of defenses they have, then we can find out where the safe is. Come on out if you can, and then basically we just want to take him down, get rid of the problem, infiltrate, reconnaissance, and then kind of kill him. Really, that's basically.
So this is a pro punching mission.
Not in the beginning, but like once you know where some stuff is, then pro punching.
Good to know.
You know, I was thinking like words first, you know, like kind of like cozy up the people. You guys mentioned schools. Do you have in the vaults, which is good because there's not a whole lot of that out here. So you're probably real smart.
I mean, one of us is.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, we about ready to head out?
Sure.
Okay. I will make sure that I have my leather armor on. Now, what do I need to change there? I look at the items, right?
Yep. It's just going to be adjusting your damage resistances to reflect the current outfit.
For energy.
And remember that when you switch back to your leathers, you also get to put your clothing on beneath that. So you want to, whichever the best between your clothing or your armor is what the damage resistance is for that area.
Arms, legs, torso. So this one's just for the torso. Okay.
And it probably
So
has
the
the better.
torso is just power. I put up to 2. Which one is the P? Is it the shield or the lightning or the radiation symbol?
The lightning. Shield is
Okay.
physical, lightning is energy, and the radiation symbol is radiation.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Well,
So you swing back by the sheriff's place real quick because there unfortunately isn't an open public toilet at the hostel. There's just the ones that are in each person's individual rooms. So you swing back there so you can quick change and put on something more appropriate for the recon work that you're about to be engaging in here. And then you all set off into the ruins of pre-war Platteville. Now, as you're walking along, you're kind of heading down what would have been a pre-war highway and moving from what would be the outskirts of town more down into the actual heart of it. However, you can tell that the highway itself actually maintains a path just predominantly on the outskirts of town. It doesn't actually veer off in. But as you are moving along, eventually as you get down to the bottom of a fairly decent-sized slope, you come up to an intersection where it appears like 2 pre-war highways had crossed one another, and Jack actually takes you off the primary highway and onto the secondary one and kind of starts taking you further down into the ruins of Old Platteville. And as you're walking along, you do visually see a couple of interesting, distinct landmarks along the way. In particular, a ways off, somewhere into the what appears to be north, according to your Pip-Boy compass, portion of town, there seems to be a single building that appears as though it is still just generally intact. However, it looks like it's more of like a likely corporate type building. You also can see the very distinct look of a large red rocket, which for the Vault Dwellers, that is a Red Rocket gas station. The Wastelanders know that too. The Vault Dwellers just happen to know it from seeing them in pre-war pictures and things like that in the vault. So you know that there would have been a pre-war fueling station there, which, in fairness, might have a possibility of having a thermal regulator chip. This is mainly because of the fact that a lot of pre-war cars were actually nuclear powered, and so the fueling stations for them may have had access to a nuclear reactor on site. It just depends upon if this one happened to have been selling the very limited supply of petroleum that was left in the world for exorbitant amounts of cost, or if it was selling actual nuclear fuel. Additionally, you can kind of see what appears to be more a little bit further into the actual ruins along the highway that you initially jump off onto, before Jack again veers you off down another side street that doesn't appear to be a highway. It appears to have just been some street in pre-war Platteville. Eventually you do come across a sign that says it was the old pre-war Main Street that you were walking down. But further on down the way, it appears to be looks like some kind of a brick structure that there does appear to be like some kind of fence with maybe like barbed wire around it. It's likely going to be maybe like a military compound or something like that. You do also on the road see a few abandoned military vehicles right around that area, as though like some kind of checkpoint had been set up. And then additionally, before you even get to it, you were able to see the MCU of Platteville, the Midwestern Commonwealth University of Platteville. It takes up a very large swath of land. It was actually a rather large university before the war ended the world. And essentially it was large enough that it almost functioned like a town within a town. And as you start drawing closer and closer to it, eventually, Jack, you know that you're going to have to kind of try to break away sooner rather than later here. However, as you're trotting along, you do all eventually come across a point where, in the distance, you're fairly certain you hear some sound. So you've cut off of the road eventually here, and you've kind of been making your way on some side streets and things like that, and cutting through old properties. And at the moment, you find yourself on a stretch of turf leading up to a road that wraps just around the campus. And on the Roll20 screen there, you should be able to see a nice little map for all of y'all there. And I will actually go ahead and show that to our audience as well. Now, the spot where you kind of hear everything going on, first of all, obviously all of you are down here in the lower right-hand corner of the map where I'm pinging at the moment, and you should be able to see all your character tokens there. The sound itself seems to be coming from over here on the road, although you can't directly make out the like what exactly is going on over there because of all this rubble that actually kind of blocks the ability to get a good read on the road itself. You do hear...
I do have a question. Could Mutt pick up any of that? Because it says he's got keen senses.
Oh, Mutt's very aware that something seems to be going on over there. His focus is drawn very much to the road, and his ears are flicking and twitching.
I'd like him to try and attempt to detect creatures or objects around that we can't at the moment.
To be fair, you can all detect it as well as Mutt can. Now, to be fair, Mutt might have a little more information than you. Like, for instance, Mutt might know exactly how many individuals there are. He just doesn't have a good way of communicating that to you, necessarily. So you're all aware, though, because you can hear them talking. There's at least two voices, potentially more, of some individuals somewhere along the road that you were getting ready to come up to.
Okay. And, all right, some individuals somewhere. How do y'all want to handle this? Should we break off and go around? Doc, do you, myself, and Mutt want to head one way, and then Aiden, Katya, you want to head sort of another way?
I'll probably like stay back a little bit just in case if anything pops out, I can like one way or another, if there's something going on, I can definitely like shoot them with my hunting rifle from here, just so I can see like, everybody.
Now, one other thing that I'll point out to all of y'all while you work on figuring out where exactly you're going to want to try to position and move to. On the map, you'll notice that there's a few spots where I've put a number, and it's usually around something like a tree or something like that, and a couple spots on the rubble. For instance, like there's a 2 over here and a 3 over here. Those notes are actually cover that can be provided by the objects within the environment. The two that I want to specifically point out real fast, though, would be this 1p here and 1p here. The P means that in order to actually take use of the cover, you would have to be prone rather than still in a standing position. So you would have to elect to get down to the ground because it is a fallen tree that's just kind of resting on the ground, so you'd have to duck down kind of behind it. All the other ones, you can still be in a full upright position if it's just the number and still receive the cover that would be available there.
All right. So I am thinking, I'm going to try ping it on the map here. I'm thinking that, have my rifle out, but going to be coming up along this area here, sort of to the west, straight west.
Okay.
Keep an eye out, and if it's okay with you, Aiden, Katya, I was thinking maybe if you wanted to, you could sort of come up more north, directly towards the road, so people see you coming, and maybe we can avoid a fight here. They could just get you into the casino, maybe.
Okay.
All right. And how is each group going to kind of take their approach here?
Kind of moving from cover to cover, I think, is Jack would want to sort of get up here and as, kind of have Mud with him. And as Aiden and Katya move, just kind of moving from cover to cover, keeping eyes out to see if we see anybody appearing or if anybody looks as if they're going to try and fire upon the two, then fire first. That is my objective.
Okay. And what I'm going to allow for everyone to end up doing here is you're going to be able to move before we get into an actual encounter here. You can move up to one zone away from where you currently are. Jack, obviously, you can control both you and Mutt. And when you move into another zone, if you are going to go into another one beyond where you are, you can position yourself anywhere within that zone.
Okay. So if I put myself here and Mutt here, are we behind cover?
Yes, potentially. So it depends upon the direction that they're coming from. But
Okay.
from the road at the moment, yes, you would be behind cover.
Okay.
And Doc, where are you thinking about heading to?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and try to move to like the prone position right here.
You should be able to go ahead and move your character up there. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and
like
drop prone there.
Drop prone and just like maybe scan the area for potential like enemies, just to make sure the vault dwellers, like, they're good to go when they're walking.
Now, do keep in mind that would be to the road itself from that position would be a very long shot for you. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 4 zones away to the actual road.
Cool. If it does happen, I'll probably just move to another zone, to another like closer area.
Not to worry. And for both Jack and for Doc, would you go ahead and make me a stealth check?
Refresh my memory here. If I want to, Lucky lets me re-roll or add dice, or luck points at least.
It depends. There's a few things that you can actually do with luck. So with that, you can either in this particular instance, since you're looking to do stuff with the dice, You could potentially substitute your luck for an attribute. So if your luck happens to be higher than the attribute associated to stealth, which I believe is agility, you could choose to use your luck instead of your agility. Or for each luck point you spend, you can re-roll one of the d20s that you roll.
Okay.
But you have to take whatever the second roll is. So you can't re-roll and then spend another luck and re-roll it again. You have to take
Okay.
whatever the second result is.
All right. So we roll sneak here. Is that right?
Yep.
How about with action points? How do I use action points? Let's say if I want to like add it to my, will that work as like a bonus to the sneak, or how does that work?
Could. So basically with the sneak, and you're going to be looking at a difficulty of 2 to not get noticed here. Well, actually, no. Difficulty 1. You just need 1 success. So you need one of your d20s to come up as a success. Now, one of the things you can do with action points would be to buy additional d20s for your roll, and thus giving you more chances of potentially getting a success on that check.
Would it be okay for the group for me to use one of those action points because my sneak isn't really that? So,
Yeah, that's fine.
I would like to use one as well if I could.
Okay, so we're going to use 2 of the action points on the stealth checks here, and that means each of you are going to roll 3 dice, so make sure to select that when you go in and set your dice count.
2 successes. Do I need to roll for Mutt separately, or is his the same as mine?
I will go ahead and roll for Mutt there.
Okay.
And that means we'll be back down to 4 action points for the group here. Let me
I rolled 1 success.
leave that there. All right, so you did get the 1 success?
Yeah, I got 2.
Oh, you got 2? All right, so that's actually going to get you one. Basically, you got your action point back for that.
Oh, yeah.
Good call on that, because that
well done.
1 point could have been the action point that I needed.
All right, so we're at 5 action points remaining in the pool after that check, and both Jack and Doc have successfully moved without being noticed into their respective positions. Now let me make a check for Mutt real quick. So we are going to do a other. That'll be body and other. 2 dice. No. Mutt got a
Good boy.
success, so yep, was able
12
to
out of 10.
sneak over there.
Recommend.
Would recommend. Now for the vault dwellers. Where exactly are each of you headed here in the situation?
So we're trying to be seen. So I'm going to just slide right up here in the open and assume Katya has my 6.
Yep, she do. Probably about right here.
All right. So kind of walking just side by side there, essentially through the wasteland, not really necessarily trying to make yourselves, probably not going out of your way to be conspicuous, but also not going out of your way to be unnoticed in any way, shape, or form, I would imagine. All right. So you start making your way forward there, and as you do, you quickly get the sensation that whoever's out there on the road certainly has taken notice of the fact that someone is approaching. And you hear their conversation cut off generally abruptly, and then they go ahead and let me go ahead and show you here. Boop. Boop. You end up realizing, based on their movement, because they kind of start shuffling around in the area they're trying to get a visual on the 2 of you, that there are 2 raiders, actually. Raiders, gang members, whatever you want to call them, who were out there on the road. And both of them at this point turn to kind of face in the direction that the two of you were coming from. Taking notice, obviously, of both Aiden and Katya here. So they reposition and turn and face you. Well, well, well. What do we have here? The first one over here calls out. How you ladies doing?
Doing all right this morning. How are you?
Oh, just lovely. Just lovely, says the first raider here. Yeah. Just, you know, out checking out what's going on in town. His associate chimes in. You two ladies up for any fun?
Depends entirely on
At
what your
this
definition
point,
of fun.
we will consider this to be kind of round-based, actually, and move through an initiative order, because I imagine our two Wastelander friends here who are hiding in the outskirts are going to want to be possibly slowly but surely repositioning or setting themselves up for whatever their plans are. And I would also take the assumption, well, actually, let me not assume. The Vault Dwellers, are you continuing to walk forward in the direction of these two individuals, or have you kind of stopped dead in your tracks?
Still
Walking
moving
forward.
Okay. All right. So in that case, we will go ahead and start running through an initiative order here. And let me just get that all set up for y'all. So for initiative, you were going to basically get the initiative that is listed on your character sheet. And let me see if I can get you all in the turn order. Yep. All right. And sadly, it doesn't seem like it is auto-populating for me, so I'll just kind of run through and get everybody's initiative score from them. So starting with Aiden, what is the initiative score on your character?
13.
13. And Katya?
14.
14. And Doc?
15.
All right. And then let me take a look at my Raider friends here. Do-do. Do-do. Perfect. Why are these? Thank you. All right. Turn order corrected. So, looks like all of y'all are going to act before the Raiders. So we'll get a read on what each of you ends up doing here. Now, for those of you at 15, that being Jack, Doc, and Mutt, you guys can kind of decide amongst yourselves who's going to act first. I don't really have too much concern either way of which you go about. So you can either get Mutt on the move, or one of you two can kind of take the lead here. And on your turn, each of you can do one major action and one minor action over the course of your turn.
Okay. Well, I think Mutt and I are probably gonna post up over here so we can be just keeping an eye out and hopefully not be seen by them. So I'd like to move here and hopefully having Mutt over here. If Mutt is still unseen at that point there from the road perspective. Otherwise, I would have him come up here.
Okay.
Actually, I guess that's okay. We'll do that. Mutt can be up there. I am up here, keeping an eye out.
All right, perfect. That will work just fine. And then, Doc, how about yourself?
So I'm trying to move Doc over on this side right here. Will that need me to go sneak again? Because that technically I am like in the vicinity where Aiden and Katya are. Would that merit a sneak?
Yes, that would absolutely merit a sneak. And actually for Jack, since you are a large enough profile, I am also going to have you make another sneak check as well. Both of them, for Jack, you're going to be doing a difficulty 1. For Doc, it's actually going to be a difficulty 2, because you're kind of right in the visual line of the direction that the two raiders are actually looking in right now.
I would like to use one of the action points again, if that's okay with the group.
Where did it go?
Good with
Yeah,
me.
I'm okay with that. Oh, I'm gonna have to use luck to try and re-roll if that's okay. Use a luck point.
Absolutely, you can use one of your luck points.
All right, so then I just click one of them to re-roll, or how does that work?
You're just gonna go ahead and roll another d20 by using the little d20 thing and select
I
the
understand.
correct stuff.
Okay, it's a success this time.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and re-roll one of the dice too with my luck point. Luck.
All right. Can't say that I blame you.
Yeah. So I'm down to 2 luck points.
Yep.
So just re-roll sneak with like 1 die, right?
That would be absolutely a way to do it, yes.
I did not succeed, so.
All right, so.
There we go. Our first fumble of the day.
All right, go ahead, because you will still get your movement done.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and place yourself in the new location that you'll be. All right.
Would that be here or?
Yeah, you probably want to be the one space to the left there, because that'll give you the cover. Boop. There we go. All right, so that gets you over there. And once we get to the Raiders' turn, we'll see how they obviously react to that. Now, in this rough moment, Katya and Aiden, you would not yet notice that the Raiders would have seen Doc, so go ahead and take your actions naturally. First, we'll start with Katya. I assume that you're moving forward into the next zone.
Just moving.
All right.
She's just talking to him. She's not being aggressive or anything.
And moving fairly slowly, because I see you're not trying to rush to the end of the zone or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Aiden.
I'm going to try to draw a little bit of focus and move a little bit further this way.
All right.
Not reaching for any weapons or anything yet, just hands out, open, friendly.
Now, one thing I will let you potentially do here is offer an assist to Doc here, which
Okay.
could end up potentially actually helping to see if he can manage to pull this off. Now, in order to do the assist, what you're going to do is roll one die. So it's only 1d20. But you're going to do whatever skill check you think is appropriate for how you're going to go about trying to distract them. So I don't know if that's necessarily like just, taking bigger gestures as you walk and just trying to be more animated and draw attention that way, or if you're specifically just trying to really engage them in conversation and basically just start rambling away.
I said I'm trying to pull focus, so would it be out of line to suggest a strength plus speech to try to get that focus onto me?
Yeah, I could accept that.
Maybe a threat.
I can definitely accept that.
Gun check. 1, 2.
And you want 1 dice on that.
Yep.
Let's see. That is not a tag skill.
That is a success, though. So, through assisting, you were going to end up helping Doc actually manage to not have the raiders immediately draw that attention. But
sun's out, guns out.
And right now, the 2 vault dwellers are kind of out in the open, drawing the attention of these 2 raiders that they encountered on the street, while Jack and Doc work on stealthily moving along the outskirts here and trying to get themselves into advantageous positioning. So, now that we are back, at this point, it is actually the raiders' turn in combat here. Combat, at least so far. We're just in turn order. And what's going to happen is Raider 1 here is going to actually kind of step into and start working his way through the rubble and actually moving his way towards you. So he's going to move from that zone into this orange zone here. Now, in order for him to actually get out of that zone, he's going to have to spend some action points to do so, because it's a bit of a more difficult terrain type situation that he's dealing with there. And then as for our other friend here, he is going to just kind of shift a little bit in his position. He doesn't really move per se, but his attention is going now much more directly to Aiden than anyone else in the situation. And it becomes very clear to you, based on how they move here, that they're not aware of your compatriots here, who are hiding off.
Okay.
And that, they're as the one raider starts kind of moving across there, and his friend is focused in on Aiden. The one who maintains his position looks over to Aiden. You look like a nice, big, strong girl. I bet you'd be a whole lot of fun, wouldn't you?
That's what we're here for.
And as he's saying that, his buddy's kind of starting to work his way up and over the rubble, and generally in the direction of you. At this point, you can kind of get a better read on them, because you've been getting a little bit closer up to them. And the one it doesn't look like he's terribly well armed. The one who's actually crawling through the rubble here. They do have what appears to be like this kind of piecemeal put together leather armor. It doesn't look as nice as the leathers that Jack is wearing. Much more shoddy and ramshackle. And then in his hand, which he hasn't relinquished so far at this point, he is holding a tire iron. The other one, however, while he is also dressed in this kind of like pieced together leather type outfit, giving him some extra protection, he does actually have some kind of gun in his hand. It looks pretty ramshackle. Nothing like what you're used to from the few firearms that you've gotten to experience in the vault. You've always used actual good pre-war weaponry that has been maintained in good condition. Both Jack and Doc, however, would instantaneously recognize it as a pipe rifle. They're not really nearly as dangerous as a lot of other firearms, and they're something that can be kind of cobbled together in a pinch. But they can still be, dangerous enough. And that will bring us back to the top of the initiative order. So between Jack, Doc, and Mutt, what are you guys up to? At this point, the Vault Dwellers and the Raiders are slowly but surely kind of coming together, it appears.
So, in I guess my command is sort of going to be for Mutt to assist me on an attack when I attack. So that's going to be my major sort of action. But I think we kind of we worked together long enough. He understands. I've trained him well enough. But I'm going to use my minor action to kind of aim at Raider 1.
Okay, you're starting to take aim at Raider 1.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will point out is you can tell just due to the terrain that you're dealing with here that it will be a little bit tricky for Mutt to immediately get involved. There's that large zone of rubble directly in front of you that kind of wraps around the entirety of the road that the Raiders were on. Now, one of them is moving around in that zone. So if Mutt does get into that zone, he could potentially try to get on to that Raider. Additionally, what you would want to do in this instance, since you can command Mutt to absolutely go ahead and advance and make an attack on Raider 1. But to get use of your aim for your minor action, you would need to make an attack this round, so you would want to spend action points on purchasing an additional major action for yourself this round, so that you can both command Mutt and take your shot.
Okay.
Otherwise, you might want to hold off on the aim until a subsequent round, if you're going to wait until, like, say, next round to shoot.
Yeah, I'm kind of like hoping that he comes a little bit closer.
You do also have the
Jesse's
option in the major and minor actions. For a major action, you can choose to, let me double check what their official term for it is, ready. So what you could do is you could take aim. You could command Mutt to go ahead and start making his way towards Raider 1, which, if nothing else, should draw the attention and start pulling the Raider in your direction. If you have Mutt go ahead and start advancing. And then you could buy another major action to ready, where what that allows you to do is you get to describe a situation that you think is going to occur over the course of combat. And then if it does, you jump in with another major action. So you could say you want to ready an attack, assuming that Raider 1 is going to bring himself closer to you, or, for instance, if you want to go a different route, if Raider 1 continues advancing on the Vault Dwellers. As they start getting closer to the Vault Dwellers, you could go ahead and take a shot. So basically, ready allows you to kind of take any other major action and set a qualifier for it. And then if that does happen, you get to interrupt the initiative order and take your turn immediately due to the qualifications being hit.
Well, I think I'm probably going to let not command Mutt to do anything right now and take the ready action to fire on the Raider on Raider 1 if Raider 1 comes any closer, like into the zone that Aiden and Katya are in. And then in that case, then I'd use the minor action of the aim.
Okay, so you're taking aim and readying.
Mm.
All right. And if he moves into that zone, then obviously you will go ahead and take your shot. Then, Doc, what are you thinking about?
I'm gonna go ahead and also do a minor action to set my rifle ready and aim at Raider 1 as well, since he's the closest one.
Okay, so you guys are both taking up an aim essentially on Raider 1,
Yeah.
and I assume it's the same condition that Adrian was running with on Jack there, that if they step into the same zone as the two vault dwellers, then you're taking your shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely. So that way we can.
All right, then
Prong
that
attack
will
there.
bring us to Katya. At this point, you see that, as I mentioned, the one raider has shifted full attention to Aiden, who has kind of started, making herself as big and bold as possible and just trying to keep attention and focus shifted over to her. While the other raider, who is armed with the tire iron, is kind of crawling his way through a field of rubble and debris at the moment.
Kind of just gonna move up a little bit and just keep talking to him. So what do you guys do around here for fun?
All right, so working on keeping their focus and stepping a little ways further towards them. And Aiden?
I'm gonna move a little bit closer to, and I'm actually going to try to very stealthily slip my knuckles out of my pocket and onto my hand.
Okay. Those are a fairly concealed weapon to begin with, so I can. I won't even necessarily have you make a check in this particular instance. You can just kind of casually, dip your hand down and kind of keep it cupped and slide those into place. And where exactly do you want to move to in the zone?
I split up a couple squares. I'm still trying to get one of these guys to come to me.
Okay. Still trying to lure them out. All right.
But I am trying to position myself between them and Katya.
All right. So Aiden kind of, as you move forward, Katya, and kind of keep the conversation going with the two individuals here, you do keep out of the corner of your eye noticing that Aiden is specifically making sure to keep themselves sort of positioned in between yourself and the rest of the raiders. She doesn't seem to be letting you get to a point where you can inch forward in regards to that distance.
She'll catch on what she's doing and just hang back. She's like, no, okay, let's see what's going on.
All right, and the raiders kind of, let's see, we'll start with raider number 2 here. He will go ahead and he sort of shifts his position as you keep advancing forward, Aiden, just trying to keep himself better aligned directly with you, and says, oh, just having a little stroll around town, seeing what kind of fun we might be able to get up to. Never seen a outfit quite like that before. And the other raider, Raider 1, is going to actually go ahead and step out of this zone, which is going to take them some action points. So due to the level of difficulty of that zone in particular, it's actually going to shift them down 2 action points. So I will be, as the GM, down to 2 action points remaining in my pool here. And as soon as that happens, we have a couple of actions that are going to instantaneously trigger here. So, Jack, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Okay.
Go
I'm
ahead
rolling.
and make your. I believe you were using the. It was your hunting rifle, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's going to be a small guns check that you're
And I
going to
have
make
3
there.
dice for this because I aimed. So.
Yep.
Let me see my results.
All right.
2
Looks like you
successes.
got 2 successes there on the check.
You know what? Just because I want to make sure I can do some, I'm gonna re-roll one of them with a luck point.
Okay.
Because why not?
I will update your.
And
luck
it's
here.
another success, so 3 successes.
All right. So a total of 3 successes there for Jack on that check. Although you are down to just the single luck point remaining at this point.
Mhm.
All right. So with that, 3 successes. That is certainly enough for you to be able to hit the raider here. Basically, what you're trying to do when you're making an attack on somebody is beat their defense rating, which he has a defense rating of 1 in place. So you actually beat that and then got 1 extra success beyond that, which is actually going to put another action point into your pool. So anybody else over the course of the scene here, if you happen to end up needing action points, do keep in mind that you guys are now up to 5 on that. And I need you to go ahead and roll me damage. Now, for damage, one of the things to keep in mind, your weapon has obviously some ammunition to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, shooting once automatically expends 1 point of ammunition, so you'll pull your ammunition count down by 1. What's the rate of fire on your hunting rifle there? Is it a 0?
It's a 0 for hunting rifles.
Yeah, 0.
Okay. So that means you can only take the 1 shot. The rate of fire on the weapon lets you know how many additional shots you can potentially pump into it for additional damage. So with that, you're going to go ahead and roll your damage, which
So
will
that's
be
the-
on the little Pip-Boy face off to the side of the damage.
Sorry, that was a good roll.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 5 effects that you rolled there. So
Piercing.
it has piercing. What's the rating on that? Is it piercing 1 or is it just
piercing 1? Piercing 1.
Okay. So with piercing 1, I need you to also go ahead and roll me 1 d20, and you can do that with just the little.
That's initiative. Whoopsie.
So for the regular d20, you'll actually want to use the little sidebar off to the left on Roll20 where it has the dice over there, and then just select the single d20. Because we don't need a attribute or anything like that associated with it.
7.
7. All right, so that is going to hit him. Let's see. Where's his armor? There we go. All right, so 1 and 1. But you have the piercing, which is going to negate his armor entirely due to that. And so all of that damage is going to run right into him. So he is going to be down to 3 HP there as soon as he pulls himself out of the rubble and starts getting onto more even footing, a shot cracks out from just a little ways to the south behind one of the trees as Jack puts a bullet right into the side of the raider's torso there. Now, Mac, you can go ahead and make your check as well.
Oh, so same thing with Jack. I did the so I'll have like 3 dices for my
Yep.
small guns roll.
All right, you got the success, but we do have a complication there, which is that 20 that you rolled. So that will potentially add something unpleasant to the situation, unless you want to spend a luck point to possibly re-roll that.
Why not? Let's do it.
All right. Can't say that I fully blame you. Don't want to necessarily bring on the complications just yet.
Like this. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and roll that.
Yep.
Oh, there we
And
go.
it becomes a success. So you've gotten past the defense rating of the opponent, so that's actually going to mean that you're going to go ahead and generate an action point here as well for the excess success that you have here, which does
6 points.
put you guys back up to 6 points. Yep, so we are at the cap for players in regards to the amount of action points you can have. So everybody keep that in mind. You are capped, so feel free to spend those points as necessary. And go ahead and you'll want to roll me your damage for that as well.
That would be on the hit.
Yeah, there will be right next to the damage, there will be an icon of a little Pip-Boy face, and if you click that, it'll roll those dice. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. All right, that is going to be enough.
It's a little overkill.
Now, in fairness, that does get pulled down by 1 due
Okay.
to his armor, so only 7 of it makes it actually through. However, that is still more than enough to take this guy and drop him. So let
Skill
me
of
see.
It's the old school VATS action shots of two hunting rifle bullets hitting him in the head at the same time and the head exploding.
Yeah, pretty much. So that will update our situation here as follows for those following along at home. Basically, just as this raider goes ahead and gets himself onto solid footing again out of this rubble that he's kind of crawling through to get towards the vault dwellers, 2 shots instantaneously crack off from 2 different directions, and both bullets finding their mark in the raider's torso, so his body kind of jerks twice and then just falls limp to the ground. And the nice part about that for all of y'all is that actually brings us to the top of the initiative, because the raiders were busy chit-chatting still with the vault dwellers and took their turns already, just kind of moving around in zones. So we're back to Mutt, Doc, and Jack.
I do have a question, Overseer. Can I see the Raider 2 from where I am, or is he blocked?
You can see him, actually. Unfortunately for him, that spot right there, unless he actually pushes up to like more this area, because even though that 2 is only in 1 square, it does actually cover kind of like this little 6 square area right down here. But he would have to push up right against it to be able to get cover from you on that.
Okay. So if I wanted to actually get through like the orange section and just get right up here, that would take my action as the sprint action and then maybe an action point to get me there.
It would take 2 action points for you to be able to exit this orange zone.
Even if my move is sprint?
Correct. Yep. Because to move out of difficult terrain areas does require action points.
Okay. In that case,
Now, what you
I
could
am-
consider, just to make sure that all of your options are on the table for you, is you could go ahead and take the sprint major action to kind of start booking across the field there, and then spend 2 action points out of the pool of 6 that you guys have right now, so that way you're able to actually get out of this zone and off into the actual zone with the road and put yourself in the same zone as the raider. Then you could also go ahead and spend 2 more action points, so a total of 4 of the 6 that you have available, and that would allow you to take an additional major action this turn, so you could also attack if you wanted to. You'd also still have your minor action available to you, so it could actually be sprint, use the AP to get out of there, aim, buy another major action, take the shot.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use fast shot. So I am going to fire at him and use an action point to take a second shot. So like reload and take a second shot.
Okay, so instead of moving from here, you're going to go ahead and just
Yeah.
take 2 shots from here?
Yes, I cannot aim because I'm impatient, but I'm trying to boom boom.
All right. So with that in mind, what you'll want it to do is you're going to do this, but it is with an increased difficulty. So you will need 2 successes because this is a little bit further of a range than what your hunting rifle is necessarily for. So you do need 2 successes on that. Now, do you want to spend any action points to get additional dice?
If I may, can I, because I'm already using one of our action points, could I use one more?
Yeah,
Everybody okay
there's
with that?
no limit on how
Okay
many
with
you
that.
can use as long as the crew's cool with it.
Okay, so then I will roll for the first attack.
All right.
2 successes.
And it's a grand total of 2 action points that you were using there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've used 2 action points. I'm going to save some for the others. I'll see if the second one hits as well. Come on. Roll again, please. Oh, there it is. I'm going to try my last luck point on this.
Okay.
See. Because why not?
Might as well go for broke.
Nope. Shit. All right. So at least one of them hits him.
Okay. So we got 1 hit. Go ahead and roll your damage for that.
Okay. Nice.
All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. And you do trigger the piercing on it, so it does block out his ability to soak any of that. So that does mean that this gentleman is also going to go down. So basically, as the situation played out in a more quick version of it, is the Vault Dwellers went ahead and got themselves spotted as Jack and Doc moved into position. As soon as the first raider managed to cross the threshold of rubble, he was instantly taken down with 2 pot shots, and before the other one could even react, Jack managed to fire off 2 more shots in quick succession from the hip. One of the 2 connected and dropped him instantaneously.
Wow. Okay, that wasn't exactly what I was planning. I'm sorry about that, but I kind of got nervous.
I didn't even get to punch anybody.
Kat just walks over to where she is and just gently pats her on the shoulder.
Can we check and see if they have anything useful on them?
Absolutely.
Loot the bodies. That's
Loot
how we
the
always do.
bodies.
It wouldn't be a Fallout game if you couldn't loot the bodies, would it? So, who's looting what here?
Well, since I pretty much ended Raider 1's life, I'll go ahead and claim that body.
All right. So
See if there's anything useful there.
Doc immediately heads over to the one corpse and starts kind of ruffling through. And on that particular raider, you're going to find 6 caps. And then he also has the tire iron that he had been carrying and the road leathers that he was wearing. But beyond that, nothing else.
I'm going to pocket the 6 caps that he has. And
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really need the tire iron nor the road letters, so you can
All
have.
right. Leaving those there.
I'll check out the other one.
All right. On the second raider, so you go crawling up through the rubble, and to be fair, since it would take a little bit of effort to crawl through the rubble there, Aiden and Katya, anything you two are doing? As your compatriots just immediately start going about rummaging through the corpses that you've all just created.
Figure it'll take a little while to get over this rubble, so just start trying to get to the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
are either
just
one
trying
of
to-
you trying to get to the other raider yourselves, or?
Cat's just like, no.
Fair enough. All right, so as you all crawl over the rubble there, and I'm assuming, Doc, you start following suit after you finish rummaging through the first corpse there. Jack, you managed to find 16 caps on the second raider. They also have the road leathers that they were wearing, and then the pipe gun that they had been armed with.
I'll hold up the caps and basically everything for Aiden and Katya and say, would either of you like these?
What kind of ammo do they have?
So the pipe gun. Oh, I was silly and didn't write it down. Let me double check here real quick. Pipe gun is. There we go. Small guns, pipe gun. That uses 38.38 ammo.
Caught you on it?
Sadly, it's no use for me, but pocket it anyhow. You never know.
All right, I'll take it.
All right, you're gonna get 6 rounds of .38 ammo.
Yeah, I mean, you can trade this down the line, for because your pre-war currency doesn't really work, so you can sell these things for caps.
I might take that crowbar too.
Oh, the tire iron?
Yeah, that's it. That's what
Absolutely.
I-
So for the tire iron, if you want to jot down its details, its weight is 2, and it does 3 dice of damage that are physical at close range.
Alrighty.
All right. And at that point, I assume everyone's going to kind of continue on their way to the actual establishment of the droplets here. So you trek your way down through the streets of the ruins of old Platteville and eventually come up to the MCU proper. And the student center itself is a ways down into the campus. Now, as you approach the building, it is a fairly large location, to say the least. And the raiders have, at this point, done their best to fully move in and take advantage of the whole place. Now, you will notice on the new map that I have provided for you here that while you can fully see the details of the location and 2 individuals outside, you can't really see what's going on inside, and that is by design until you actually get into the building. Now, when you each end up coming up here, let me put y'all on this new map. You're going to come up from down here. So if you go down to the bottom right of the map here, I'm going to start moving y'all onto the map. Shaboop. And we'll get everybody positioned here as well. Now I assume, and this is just my general assumption, that the two Wastelanders are probably taking the lead here, or am I incorrect in that assumption?
Well, the last time.
Well,
Seems like a good assumption.
I think, well, I don't know if you want to go in there, Doc, but myself, I don't really want to go in there. I'm going to sort of head around the back and see if there's another way to get in that's not so conspicuous. But yeah, like I said, if you two want to go in there and sort of cozy around and have a look at the things and try and scope out the joint, it'll be helpful.
Yeah, I'm with Jack on this one too. I don't think they'll find me any interesting with a hunting rifle right next to my shoulder. So yeah.
Whoa. All right, so the two Wastelanders are thinking that they will go ahead and just stick it out in the surrounding area and try to be as discreet as possible, I suppose would be the best way to describe that. And the plan is then to send the two vault dwellers kind of into the fray here. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So let me kind of get the map positioned so that our audience can take a look at what we've got here right now. And we'll pull that up for you. So our vault dwellers at the moment are kind of down here along with Jack and Doc as well, down in the lower right-hand corner. As I mentioned, we were trying two different experimental versions of how to process the maps here. So this one does not have the zones pre-baked into it. So I will kind of just be generally loosely describing the zones themselves, although they should kind of make logical sense as to how they are laid out. So this kind of side area here from down here to right up along the top, that's going to be a zone along the one side of the building, much like down below is another zone, and then off on this side would be yet another zone. Then the upper area here from roughly this point down through to here and up towards the back is a single zone. The parking lot itself would be split in basically half into two zones, and then we can kind of work from there. So the zones on this map are a little bit bigger just due to the fact that a lot of this area is just kind of open. There aren't really the same trees or general debris and things like that that you were experiencing on the previous map. Now, as for Jack and Doc, where are you two thinking about kind of heading in this particular situation?
I was kind of thinking about heading around the back and just kind of being quiet and sneaky as possible. And I don't think we can see these stairs or anything yet here, but going that way to the left of the map.
Okay, so you're going to kind of start trying to make your way over to the other side of the building and moving your way around back. If you want to go ahead and position yourself somewhere in the area behind the back of the building, you can take Mutt along with you as well. Doc, are you just following suit, or are you kind of positioning up over here on this side of the building? Like, what's your
I think
plan?
they're maybe on the layer. I can't use them yet.
Oh, is that correct? Oh, good grief. Okay. Well, I will have to fiddle with a few things there while we get that all set up. But for the time being, you can go ahead and start sorting out where everybody is going. But I will get access to everybody's tokens here for them.
Yeah, for Doc, he's just gonna follow Jack on suit as well to the back of the building.
So you two are going to head around back. And then for the two vault dwellers here amongst us, I assume you two are going to just start heading directly towards the parking lot type area there, or do you
Yep.
have some other
Yep.
plan?
Towards front.
They going right in through the front door is the best plan.
All right, sounds good. Jack, you should be able to handle your own token now. And
Mm-hmm.
Doc, you are just about good to go. All right, you should be set. Then we need Mutt here as well. Settings.
All right.
Slowly but surely getting everybody their access again here. Do, 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 do. This is going to be Aiden. More little things that I'm learning about Roll20. So, admittedly, for those watching at home, I don't use Roll20 all the time personally, so I'm not as familiar with it, so there's still a little bit of a learning curve here and there. But Aiden, you should now be able to make use of your token. And Katya. You should be good as well. Okay, so the two of you are moving up towards the end of the zone. Now, Katya and Aiden, we'll start with you first here, since we aren't in actual rounds yet. As you kind of come up around the corner of the building there and start getting to the edge, what you do notice immediately is there are two raiders. Each of them are armed with what appears to be a pipe rifle gun, or a pipe gun. And they're kind of standing on these two staircases that lead up from the parking lot to the actual entrance of the building itself. And what is your plan of approach here?
I would say just play it as straight as possible.
Yeah.
We're
The
there
other
to-
two, the other two seemed interested in us, so same old.
All right. So just coming up as prospective customers, essentially looking to do a little gambling at this here new casino. All right. And then around the backside, where both Doc and Jack are headed, as you reach the corner of the building on your side, what you do notice is that there appears to be a fire escape leading up to a door on the second level of this building. Other than that, you don't see any kind of really too distinguishable of entrances into the building, but it does appear that there is at least a secondary entrance here. Now, whether or not it would be easy to open from the outside, both of you in your experience searching ruins know that a lot of pre-war buildings tend to, if they have these types of exits to them, normally they're most easily accessible from inside the building as opposed to outside. But there is a chance that it may have a latch that would allow you to get in.
Good to go.
All right. And so are you each heading to the staircase, or how are you approaching this?
Yeah, I think so.
We'll go
We
to
should
the
probably be
staircase.
as quiet as possible, I guess.
All right. So for both Jack and Doc, why don't you go ahead and make me stealth checks as you make your way over to the kind of fire escape entrance there. And then for Aiden and Katya, since you aren't really trying to keep a low profile or anything like that, the two of you kind of make your way out from the side of the building and progress up towards the parking lot there. And one of the raiders immediately calls out, "Hey, you there! Y'all looking to have some fun?" And he kind of braces his gun up on his shoulder and with his other hand thumbs back towards the entrance of the building. "We got a nice new casino here, freshly
here?
opened."
That does sound like a good time.
All right. And they don't necessarily give you too much of a hard time as you approach the building there. And I'm assuming that once you get up there, you're going to go ahead and head inside to start getting a read on what all's going on around here. So you end up heading in through this first entrance here. And I'll go ahead and just kind of dump you guys over there. And inside, what you end up discovering is there is another raider inside, just kind of meandering about and waiting to see if any prospective customers come in. There are a few tables that they've already moved in and set up that have assorted games ready to be played on them, as well as a few slot machines that you know that they obviously wouldn't have been things that would have been here naturally by any stretch of the imagination. Knowing that this was a pre-war university, they clearly didn't have a casino just set up there, so who knows where they've managed to scavenge these from and drag them out to this location. But they do have a number of slot machines set up. Most of them appear to not be working, but there do appear to be one or two that seem to actually have the lights on and might actually be functional. And then, like I said, a couple of card tables strewn around. And then there is down towards the south end of this particularly large room, which you assume would have been just kind of like an open area that may have had different shops or things like that, considering it used to be a student center. There is also a fountain with a kind of double wrap staircase that then heads up into another section of the building, and that's the kind of marble-esque looking structure on the map down there. That's the double staircase. And as you enter into the room, the one raider that happens to be walking around immediately takes notice. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. We've got some customers. Can I get you ladies a drink? Maybe you want to try a game, play a little bit of slots. We've got a number of amenities, or maybe you'd be interested in renting out a room. We just opened up the new wing here that has a nice little lovely hotel. Could always get you a bit of rest here in the weary wasteland.
You guys surely do have a lot of stuff here. This is pretty cool.
It is admittedly impressive, especially with the general state that you've seen the world in so far. What they seem to have set up here is quite the little potentially prosperous business.
So what do you think?
I think that we're gonna tell other people that there's such a nice place here, so close, even that we might want to see, a tour maybe.
Oh, of course, I'd be happy to show you around. And while that's going on, one of the raiders from outside has actually gone ahead and made his way in behind you and come in the door and kind of stepped off to the side, leaving just the one raider outside watching the actual door. Now, while this is going on, Jack and Doc. Let me see how we did on those rolls here. All right, each got a success, it looks like, on that sneak check. But I do see that you also have a complication there, Jack. Now, you are out of luck points, correct? Okay. So with that in mind, as you're making your way up the fire escape there, right as you get up towards the top, the structure kind of buckles a little bit under the pressure from the both of you making your way up there, and it rattles across the side of the building a little bit. Now, it isn't a super loud noise, but you know it made at least an awkward sound that may have drawn attention. But as you get up to the door there, you do happen to find that it does actually have an exterior latch, and the problem at the moment is the fact that the door is locked. And it is a steel door, so just blasting it would not be a very viable option. But it is a possible way in.
Well, any good picking locks or anything like that?
Don't actually have any lockpicks on me, so this is gonna be a problem.
You didn't bring that tire iron with you, did you? No.
I have a machete.
Yeah, I mean, you know, shit. How sort of well constructed is this? Not the door itself, like the locking mechanism thing.
Not the most impressive lock you've ever seen in your life, but it's certainly not the worst either.
Could I try using machete? Like, just pry it open?
With the type of lock that it is and the seal of the door, the machete wouldn't really work to be able to try to pry it, unfortunately.
Anything like windows or anything like that we can see up here?
Unfortunately, you're not sure exactly what this portion of the building was necessarily for, but there aren't any visible windows on this section of the building, no.
Okay. How about we knock on the door? sort of try to get someone's attention. They might open it and then go from there.
Fuck it, why not?
Already here. So.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna. Do you want me to be behind you, or are you gonna do the knocking? Because I can be a little bit behind you to the right and kind of like have my shotgun ready just in case.
Maybe we can do what we can do is you can just hide behind me for now and like let me do some talking, and if you see that the situation becomes dire, then blast them with your shotgun.
Or maybe I'll try stabbing first, just to give the vault people a bit of time inside. Yeah, all right, go.
Sounds about right.
And while this is going on, inside the building itself, the raider that was inside the building to begin with goes ahead and starts kind of guiding you around the building. They show you off, obviously, the main casino floor here and just kind of point out like all the different things that they've brought in. But then they do eventually take you up the double staircase and into the next section of the building. And over here, you end up getting the offer to meet the man in charge. Since the place isn't, terribly busy, couple lovely ladies such as yourselves, he'd be super happy to make your acquaintance.
Through this whole tour, I'm just really leaning into the dumb. I'm asking, what's that? How do you play that game? What's this? What do you do here? Just being borderline annoying, but not quite crossing the annoying line.
All right. And if you scroll out on the map here, what you'll notice is once you get up into the hotel here, and he's kind of, let me go ahead and drag your two icons over here to give you a rough idea of where you are. So when you get to about this point here, where he's actually showing off one of their lovely, lovely rooms that they have, which are just atrocious, to put it mildly. Down the hall, you do notice that one of the rooms has another raider kind of stationed outside of it, and he's holding another pipe gun himself. And this is where you eventually get asked if you would like to actually meet the boss.
Oh yeah, I think that would be a real fine idea.
I mean, we have to compliment him on what a good job he's done, because I mean he is the boss.
All right. So you're taking them up on their offer, and then outside, as you guys are kind of coming up with the plan here, you start hearing voices inside. You definitely recognize two of the tones as being Katya and Aiden. Not sure who the other voice is. Must be one of the gang, you would assume. But it appears that they've now made their way into this section of the building. How would you like to proceed?
I guess I should go ahead and knock really loudly on the steel door. See if anyone opens the door for me.
All right. So the way this plays out is the raider walks the two of you down the hallway there, and as she gets you up to the door is about the time that Doc makes his way up and kind of begins pounding on the door here from the fire escape. Ah, hell. I was just about to tell the boss that he's got some company. You want to go check that out, Larry? And the guy with the gun grumbles. But since there is someone actually by the boss's room, he's willing to leave his post and he heads down to go open the door while the other raider ushers both Katya and Aiden into the room here down at the end. And upon getting inside is when you encounter Nukatami. And that is where we're going to have to leave things this week, because I don't want to keep all y'all too far past the designated time. So, before we close out tonight's session, then we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. And after handling that first encounter with the couple of raiders, and then making your way to here, there's a little bit of experience point gain in order for everyone. So you're going to get a grand total, each of you, of 44 experience that you can go ahead and add onto your characters there. Now, I don't believe that should cause anyone in the group here to level, so we don't necessarily need to worry about a level increase before the next session, but you are well on your way there, and this next encounter may very well end up pushing you past that point. Now, for the audience here, I will also clarify that, unfortunately for us, this was the last session that Adrian was going to be able to join us for as our lovely Sheriff Jack Wilson. We were hoping to have this portion of the story completed before Adrian was going to have to drop out, but what we will do next week is Jack will still be involved. He will just be involved as an NPC as we finish off the remainder of this particular situation and move on to where our Wastelanders go next. So be sure to tune in next week to see the likely to be exciting conclusion to the situation with the droplets and find out where our Wastelanders move to next. It's been an absolute treat continuing this story for y'all, and we will see you all on the flip side.